Welcome to the Power of Oxygen First, the podcast that helps you stop running on empty and start leading your life and business with intention. I'm your host, Dot Rock, founder of Dot Rock Consulting and creator of the Chief Energy Officer approach. And around here, we believe that putting on your oxygen mask first isn't selfish, it's essential. Each week, we'll explore what it really means to build a sustainable, soul-aligned life. From letting go of what's draining you, to learning how to receive support, to growing a business that feels like home. So take a deep breath. You're right where you're meant to be. Well, hello, my podcast listeners. Okay, so today I am going to apologize in advance because I will probably get quite emotional. I have written this podcast and cried every time I have tried to record it. So here's another effort of this recording, but this is a very special podcast for a dear friend who recently just passed away. So I'm going to light a candle as we start this podcast because that is something I often do. It's one of my little rituals for when I do hard things. So here's the candle, and I just want to invite you to have rituals when you're doing hard things. So here's the little story of Wendy. Wendy, she was my best friend's my best friend's bestie, and one of the women in my childhood best friends' lives. Her kindness poured through her. She was one of those people who was so deeply kind that it felt like you could physically see light pour into her head and out of her heart as she walked through life. There just aren't many people like her. Wendy. I didn't know her well, but I had only met her in person a few times, in fact. But what I do know is that she shared our bestie so very beautifully and so very selfishly. Wendy. I'm not sure when it was the first time I met her. My first clear memory of her was when our best friend was suddenly in a coma about 15 years ago, dying from what turned out to be meningococcal meningitis. Our Amy, my childhood best friend, spent 154 days in the intensive care unit, 154 days of machines and monitors, of breath being watched, measured, and fought for, of losing her legs and most of her fingers. Her treatment included a kidney transplant donated by her mother. But Wendy lived nearby at the time. I did not. And whenever I reached out, she kept me in the loop, quietly and faithfully. Another way she loved without needing credit. The moment I remember her the most is when she hugged me with all that she had in the ICU waiting room when Amy was clinging to life. I may have met her before, but that day, she held me and we held faith for Amy together. And every time I visited the hospital over the next year, Wendy would hug me with all of that kindness and goodness and love. And she would melt me because that's what her hugs were like. Her kindness poured through her, and she had so very much love in her. Wendy. The last time I saw her, just like that last day in the ICU, just like that first day in the ICU, she hugged me with all that she had. We were at Amy's dad's funeral. She thanked me for taking our shared bestie to Paris. She didn't say she was jealous, only that she was thankful. Thankful that I took our Amy and thankful that I loved her. Those moments with Wendy at Amy's funeral were my last with her a couple years ago. But she loved me simply because I loved Amy and Amy loved me. Love is simple. We make it so very complicated, but Wendy did not. If Wendy had been a movie character, she would have been Beth in Little Women. And now she is gone from this physical world. And I am forever changed because I had the pleasure of meeting her and of being held in one of her hugs. Wendy died recently, and she was young. She left behind a teenage daughter and a husband, and she broke my best friend's heart. Wendy left us being exactly who she was by giving the kindest gift a human can give to another person. Wendy donated her organs. In her final moments, Wendy was escorted out with an honor walk. And if you're not familiar with this tradition in hospitals, an honor walk is what happens when a dying patient is about to donate their organs. Hospitals pause. Doctors, nurses, janitors, technicians, they're all invited and they line the hallway. Not because they have to, but because they want to. They stand silently as the patient is wheeled towards the operating room. And behind that hospital bed walks the family, walking their loved one to the space between life and death. It is a pause, a sacred pause. The moment where we acknowledge the very greatest human sacrifice, choosing life for someone else in the moment your own is ending. Wendy. Her name is spelled like the wind, not like the fast food restaurant. And rumor has it, her lungs went to someone in the Windy City. Of course they did. Because Wendy lives on. And while her friends and her family are suffering a fathomless loss, other families were given the gift of life, of breath, of Wendy's breath. Her final breath became more love, more hope for strangers, leaving love just the way she lived it. It's a web of donation. Organ donation isn't abstracts at all in my life. My surrogate mom, Trish, received a life-saving heart transplant 3 years ago. Well, almost 3 years ago. And I am walking today, literally walking, because I have an IT band from a donor for my hip. And while mine wasn't from a living donor, it was from someone who, like Wendy, said yes. And Amy is alive because her mother gave her a kidney. This is the quiet web we rarely talk about. Breath passed to breath, bodies helping bodies, and strangers becoming lifelines. So, in the spirit of Oxygen First, in the spirit of my Oxygen First letter ritual, I wanted to write a really brief letter to Wendy. So here it is. Dear Wendy, you were part of this web long before you ever knew it. You showed us what it looks like to love without possession, to stay close without crowding, to give without keeping score. Thank you for holding me when the world felt unbearable. Thank you for watching over Amy when I couldn't be there. Thank you for all of the fun you had with Amy when I wasn't there. And thank you for choosing generosity and kindness again and again, right to the very end. Your breath is still moving through this world in lungs that rise and fall, in lives that get to continue. And we will never stop telling your story. Love, Dot. Okay, so here's the gentle truth about organ donation. A lot of people don't actually realize that less than 1% of people die in a way that allows for organ donation. And yet one donor can save multiple lives and help dozens more. It is rare, it is extraordinary, and it is sacred. Wendy was asked, and she said yes. Oxygen First isn't just about managing energy while we live. It's about remembering that life itself is breath, and breath is not promised. Life is so precious and so incredibly short, and none of us knows how long we get to be here. Wendy reminds us that this isn't a reason to be afraid, it's a reason to live, to love more, to fear less, to say the things we're holding back, to hug people a little bit longer, and to give kindness freely without keeping score. Oxygen First asks us to live fully while we are here with the breath that we have today. So I just want to end with a pause. No fixing, no rushing, and no doing. Just love like Wendy loved. Wherever you are, send love to Wendy, to her family, to someone you miss, to someone who gave so that you could breathe. And if you can, send a little love to yourself. If this conversation reminded you that you don't have to do it all by yourself, download my free Support and Breathe calculator. It's a return on investment calculator available at rockconsulting.com. It's a quick, eye-opening way to see how much time and energy you could reclaim by getting the right support. And that doesn't always mean you actually have to pay for that support. If there's something in this episode that resonated with you, come share your reflections on Instagram at @_rock_. I love hearing what lands for you most so that I can create more episodes like that. Remember, if your energy is your greatest asset, protect it, invest in it, and always put on your oxygen mask first. I'll see you next week.